On Wednesday, we had the sentence, when he began playing pool for exercise, Louis XIV made the game very popular in France. Now, we've dealt with capitals, we've dealt with the changing word very. What I want to deal with now is why we have that pause in between exercise and Louis. That pauses don't always mean that you need a comma, but a comma always indicates a pause. So what we have here is actually, and let me show you the answer key through this. So we've got the capitalization of when and capitalization of Louis and very. But what we entered in right here, um, after exercise and before Louis, is we need a comma. And we need a comma because of what is before that and what is after that. So if you look at what's after that, because it's easier to explain starting there, Louis XIV made the game very popular in France. You could eliminate everything in the beginning half of that sentence, and the second half of that sentence would still be a sentence. It's what we call a clause. It is a complete thought. It has a subject. It has a verb. It represents a complete idea. So that is what we call an independent clause. It could stand by itself. It could be a sentence all by itself. What we have before that comma, when he began playing pool for exercise, is what we call a dependent clause. It has the subject he. It has the verb began. He began playing pool for exercise. It represents a thought, a complete thought, but it can't stand alone as a sentence because of that word when that's attached there. When is what we call a subordinating conjunction. It makes that whole clause a dependent clause. A dependent clause can exist, but you got to hook it to an independent clause so it can be a part of a sentence. And this is awesome because this example shows us cause and effect, which is one of the primary reasons that we like to have complex sentences or sentences with an independent clause and a dependent clause. The independent clause shows us shows us the effect. The dependent clause shows us the cause. When he began playing pool for exercise. So that's what causes what happens in the next part. When he began playing pool for exercise, Louis XIV made the game very popular in France. The other thing we could do with a complex sentence like this, because the dependent clause and the independent clause don't have to stay in that order, you can flip the order around. So we could change the sentence order here, and we could say Louis XIV made the game very popular in France when he began playing pool for exercise. If the dependent clause with that subordinating conjunction, if that comes first, we need a comma at the end of the dependent clause. If the independent clause comes first, then the subordinating conjunction itself connects the two things together and we don't need the comma. So there would not be that comma, and therefore you don't hear that pause. Louis XIV made the game very popular in France when he began playing pool for exercise. I don't expect you to fully understand everything and be an expert in this just from this one quick little video, but I want you to be aware of that because that is an excellent way. Eighth graders tend to link things together with the conjunction and. That is a coordinating conjunction, and all and means is this happened and that happened. My dad bought a car and I ate some ice cream. Those are two things that both happened. We have no idea how those two things are related, if they're related at all. But when we use dependent clauses, when we use subordinating conjunctions, we connect these two ideas together in a way that it is unmistakable how they are connected, and that makes for more mature writing. So we're going to start paying more attention to and hopefully writing some complex sentences with dependent and independent clauses.